Life is precious, and we all have the opportunity of living it to the fullest. Unfortunately, so few of us know how to manage it all. How do we account for our opportunities? How do we account for our time? How do we account for our relationships, health, spirituality, homes, finances, influence, and careers? How do we account for the one life we have to live? I am so glad you asked. In this program, you will find answers to all of these questions and more. Welcome to the Account for Your Life podcast with your host, the healthy accountant himself, Jay Moore.
What's happening, everybody? What's going on? I want to welcome you back to another episode of the I AFYL Life podcast. And here's what we're talking about today. We're talking about what if, well, for me, what if I never started over? Or what if I kept going? And I thought about this and I says, wow, have you ever seen a one-sided coin? Have you ever seen anything that didn't have two sides? Here's what I've discovered. When there's two sides, then there's two outcomes. And those two outcomes typically take us to where we need to be, but you need both of them. So guys, look, let's jump right into this, man. I'm super excited because look, man, when you discover your purpose, when you actually realize that you've been walking around with it your whole life, your life changes. And it takes me back to a time period back in 2012. 10 years ago. 10 years ago, I was hanging out, got called up into a network marketing opportunity. I know you guys love network marketing. I know you love it. And got called into a network marketing opportunity. And I thought this was the thing that would change my life. Here's what happened. You get started in something, right? Starting is always the hard part. Man, I was texting with someone this morning, and it sounded like they may have never started something that they said they would like to start. It's probably been almost 2 years. And so I'm like, wow, what happened? So starting is usually like, oh my goodness, it just feels so hard, feels so weird. And I was just like, man, but back then in 2012, I was already doing something. I could keep going doing it. But then this new opportunity showed up. I was like, well, what if I just go that way for a little while? Or what if that way is the way? Have you ever thought about when you start doing something, well, I should just give up totally on that thing, or I should just keep doing that all the time? And that's where I was. I was at the point where I said, you know what? I think this new thing is better than the old thing. And that old thing it's not as sexy as I thought it was. It's not as useful as I thought it was. So I'm going to go this way. And I was going. So think about this. What direction in life are you going? That's the question that we're going to solve for today. What direction are you already going in? And what is it that you already have? So I was going in the direction of being successful and becoming. Well, I really wasn't becoming. Back then I was not becoming the person who I was created to be. I was just trying to be successful. So in essence, the direction I was going was all about success and money. But this direction I thought was all about success and money too. But then it added a twist. What was the twist? The twist was, I can get better. There's a way that you could change your life, right? There's a way that you could develop without having to go back to school, without having to go spend, tons of money getting a new degree. Like a lot of people I know, they go back and get a degree and they're like, yo, I got my PhD, got my MBA. I'm not going back to school. I'm meant to figure something else out. And I says, wow. So there's a way you can do personal education, or you can curate the education based on what it is you like. I said, oh, that's different. No one ever told me that. See, this is what I heard about that. I heard that the self-help. You ever heard that? Like my parents and people in my churches, they're like, man, that self-help stuff is not what we're going to be doing here. This is all about church, Christianity. I think back on it, I said, man, it's nothing like when you become skewed to one side. Like I could be skewed to one side now because, I'm preaching the gospel of purpose. I'm preaching the gospel of, turning, connecting the dots between, what your purpose that and you're passionate for with what you're already doing. I'm probably similar to that. So I can't speak bad about nobody, because I'm doing the same thing. But here's the thing. I was like, you could curate your own education. No one has to tell you how to do it. Let me ask you a question. If I showed up to your house and says, you have to do this right now, you'd probably look at me and be like, no, I don't want to do that. That's not what I would like to do. Now let's think about how we're all programmed. We are all programmed to do whatever we want and like and desire to do, period. So when someone else is like your boss, the only reason you listen to your boss is because you have to. If you didn't have to, you would never listen. Have you ever thought about why that's the case? Why is that the case? Okay, let's go back to Genesis 1:26. It says, and God made man in his image, after his likeness, so that they can have dominion. What is dominion? Rulership. You're supposed to rule over what? Okay, the fish, the sea, the critters, everything that creeps upon the ground. So you are not supposed to rule over people. So when someone comes to rule over you, you're like, get off of me. No, I do not. I would not like to do that. I would do it when I feel like it. Why is it that a 1-year-old, a little baby who's just learning how to talk, just learning how to say their first words are usually no. Hey, stop doing that. No. Hey, well, don't go over there. No. They're programmed to say no. It's like, no. They don't even know why they're saying it. Because we are not programmed to rule over each other. Think about this. We're not programmed to rule over each other. And because we're not programmed to rule over each other, then what happens is we don't understand how we're supposed to live. Like, I did not understand how I was supposed to live. I just was being told what to do over and over and over, to the point where I said, I can learn what I feel like learning. Nobody can tell me what to learn. I can do it myself. I never thought of that before. I never liked reading. No, I didn't even like school for that matter, but I would love to learn about things that I'd like to learn about. So when I heard Dr. Miles Monroe's voice on YouTube, I said, who is this person? Because he's speaking the language of my soul. I want you to consider this. He spoke the language of my soul. I was watching some of his old videos in the 90s, and I'm looking at the people in the videos. They did not look excited. I said, what's wrong with these people? They are not even excited about the word that's being spoken over their life right now. And I was just like, that is interesting. But I'm sitting here in Maryland, in my bedroom, watching YouTube, taking notes like, this is so good. Oh my goodness, this is doing something on the inside of me. But I want you to consider something now. What if I never started something? What if I decided to just keep going and doing the same thing over and over and over? Not saying that God couldn't have changed my life. Not saying that God couldn't have showed up and said, hey, well, we can find him over here, because God has a GPS system, and that GPS system will find you wherever because he's going to do his part to figure out how to get a hold of you so that he can introduce you to yourself. He introduced me by the time he introduces me to myself, that's when I started hearing the words of my soul. Like, I did a talk at my alma mater in April, and what I said in the premise of the talk is, when you get the right word, your life will change. Literally, here's the word that came out of Dr. Miles's mouth: change. That was the word that did it. Everything from there was just, change. Change who you are, Jay. Change who you are, Jay. Become the person, Jay. Become the person that you were created to be. And it all came from starting. It didn't come from just doing. It came from starting. See, sometimes, and let's get back to the coin, right? You have a coin. You have a coin that has heads, and you have a coin that has tails. Is there any way you can flip that coin and and there not be two sides? Oh, well, let's go to another one. You have bread, right? So you can go in your kitchen, you got bread. Is there one side? Is there a one-sided piece of bread? Oh no, there's not a one side. So there always has to be two sides. So even though I went away from one side of my life and went to the other side of my life, they both work together. So one side helped me to understand the purpose for my life. The other side helped me to know what to do and how to use a certain skill so that I can bring them all together. So I could not do one without the other. So even though it's like, oh, well, I had the choice, keep going or to start over. Really, you got to do both. You got to do both. You got to keep going, and you have to start over at the same time. That's exactly what I did. I kept going and I started over. But here's the thing: you don't want to discard the other side of the bread. You can't discard the other side of the bread. A lot of times we try to discard the other side of the bread. People tell me, discard the other side of your bread, Jay. Get rid of that accounting stuff. You don't need that stuff. That stuff won't make you no money. That stuff is not going to take you the way you need to be. I was like, really? I should just give that up. I should get rid of the other side of the bread. How can I do that? I've already spent 18 years, 15 years doing this. You can just get rid of something that you've had that long. Just like, can you get rid of your purpose? Just get rid of it. No, you can never get rid of it. You may not necessarily come into it. You may not necessarily discover it when it's right there. You may not until you start, until you, what is the word that Paul used? Renew. He says, you must renew your mind. Well, what does that mean? To renew your mind? Because, I've heard that. I've heard that verse in church, Jay, do not conform to the world, but be transformed by renewing of your mind. How do you renew your mind? It says, the first thing it says is do not conform. Okay, let's go back. Let's go back to the beginning. Genesis 1:26. What does it say? In the beginning, God created heaven. And God made us in his image after his likeness. And then as we move forward in that text, it says so that they can have dominion, which means that you should not conform to anything that's going to hold you back. So if you've conformed to something that's going to hold you back, then you've missed it. You've missed the fact that when you renew your mind, oh my goodness, you have control over your money right now. Speak that into your life right now. You have control over your business right now. You have control over your family circumstances. You have control over your health. You have control over the job that you don't like. You have control over the fact that, hey, well, you got a family, you got kids, you're trying to raise, you got control over that circumstance. You have control over all the problems that's in your life right now. You have control over it. Because when it says do not conform to the world, it means you need to get rid of that thinking. Because when you come into the new, it's not even new. When you come into the way that you should be thinking, Jay, when you come into the way you should be thinking, it will be totally opposite to what it is that you've already learned. Now that you need to discard. You don't discard your life. You don't discard all the pieces of your life, but you discard the things that keep you from your life. You should write that down. You should discard the things that keep you from your life. And so when I look at that text, I says, I would discard the way the world thinks about me. I will discard the way the world thinks about, serving people and showing up. I will discard the way the world thinks about money. I will discard the way the world thinks about everything. And I will take on the thought of the person who I'm in their image, God's image. And so I've got to take on that thought, which is not the same as say, let's go and elect some new people to go into government. That's not the same as the kingdom. I'm sorry, there's no elections in the kingdom. So I can elect till the hills come forward. Here's the thing. It won't matter. The kingdom will not will not come out of the United States government. I'm sorry. Far as I'm concerned, the government is anti-kingdom. Yes, I said it here. The government is anti-kingdom. The world is anti-kingdom. So if the world is anti-kingdom and all the systems therein, then what do? You disregard it. You don't conform to it. You stay focused on what the kingdom says. And what does the kingdom say as we get ready to close this? The kingdom mandate for Jay Moore and for any person who's looking to be kingdom is this: but seek first the kingdom, Jay Moore, and the kingdom's righteousness, and everything that you need right there in that realm will be given to you. It will be added, meaning it will always be added. You won't ever feel lack. You won't ever feel like you don't have enough, because you will have all that you need. And when you need more, and the kingdom recognizes that, for what we're doing with him, we got to get him more resources. We got to get him more things. We have to get him all these other things. The kingdom provides it. What say you today? What's on one side of your bread? What's on one side of your corn? What's on the other side of your corn? What's on the other side of your bread? What have you been doing that you've been, trying to figure out, oh my goodness, does this work with this? I'm here to tell you, it works with this. And here's the thing. Here's what Holy Spirit has done for me. The Holy Spirit has given me a special gift. He's given me a way to help business people, purpose-driven people, to take both sides and connect the dots. If you would like to connect the dots between what it is that you've been doing and what it is that you feel called to do, then let's come together in the Good Accounting Challenge. And this is not your typical accounting anything. This is a kingdom mandated program that's going to teach people things that they've probably never felt like, man, wow, this is new. Oh, this is not something that's normal. No, it's not. We're also going to throw in business stuff. Absolutely. There will be business stuff in there so that you can avoid the costly mistakes of what I see every single day. Every single day, I see mistakes. And what are those mistakes? There's tons of mistakes, but one of the mistakes that I'm involved in is accounting and taxes. And I see that people look down on accounting. I do that. People look down on accounting. They look up to tax, but they're afraid of it. And they allow the fear of the tax man to get the best of them, where they just, the tax man said, I should pay like $25,000 more. Oh, no problem. I couldn't pay it. But they don't know that they're doing that. And when I looked over some taxes last week, it was like, $22,000. Oh, we just saved you that. It was like, they were so excited. They were just like, wow, we would have just paid it. So if you want to avoid that mistake and then connect the dots in your business, you should join the Good Accounting Challenge. And if you know somebody that's purpose-driven, similar to you, then you should also let them know about it. The Good Accounting Challenge, it starts next Monday, the 14th. And guys, that's it for today. Look, hopefully you got value from this. If you got value, like, comment, share. Let people know, hey, man, this Account for Your Life thing, it's different, man. You should check that out. And let them know. But if there's something or a question you have about anything that I've talked about today or any other videos, make sure you leave that in the chat. I would love to conversate with you about that. Guys, I appreciate you for joining me for this episode of the Account for Your Life podcast. I'm Jay Moore, the Healthy Accountant, helping you to account for your life. God bless, and I'll see you on the next episode. Peace.
Thanks for joining us, listening friends. We are so glad you invested this time with us. Always remember, you only have one life to live, so live it to the fullest. This has been the Account for Your Life podcast with your host, the Healthy Accountant himself, Jay Moore. Until next time, make it a great day.